follows us at 10:30.
Evening, Mark. We are honing in tonight
guys,
on Jared O'Mara, a Labour MP who replaced Nick Clegg, actually, at the last election in Sheffield Hallam, who's made some derogatory remarks about a number of people online, and as a result has had to quit his post on the Women and Equality Committee. Amongst the remarks he made, he says he didn't understand why fatties are deified. They do not deserve our respect. He also has a rant about someone who won Pop Idol, saying they'd only won because she was fat. There's loads of these, so we'll look at the pressure that's now on him and his job at 10:30 tonight. BBC are launching a brand new music show on Friday night. Greg James is going to present Sounds Like Friday Night, and we'll speak to Greg and you'll hear from him at 11:15. And then on Back Row tonight at 11:30, amongst the top showbiz stories, dig out your Hawaiian shirt chappers and get your bushy moustache growing back, because Magnum is coming back. It's getting a reboot on American television.
Thank you very much. Phil, Flintoff Savage and the Ping Pong Guy on the way, but at 10:minute, here's Alison Hughes.
On digital, online, smartphone and tablet, this is BBC 5 Live.
Theresa May insists good progress is being made in Brexit talks with the EU. The Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn claims negotiations aren't moving forward because of divisions within the Conservatives. The Labour MP Jared O'Mara has resigned from the Commons Women and Equalities Committee after a series of sexist and homophobic remarks he made online 15 years ago came to light. Mr O'Mara, who beat Nick Clegg to the Sheffield Hallam seat in June, has apologised. A man from Stirling who was convicted of touching another man's hip in a bar in Dubai has had public indecency charges against him dropped. Jamie Harron, who's 27, had been sentenced to 3 months in prison. The financial regulator says it may take further action over the way Royal Bank of Scotland mistreated some customers. The Financial Conduct Authority found RBS was guilty of widespread failings when dealing with some struggling small firms. And New York prosecutors are investigating the company co-founded by the disgraced film producer Harvey Weinstein to see whether civil rights have been breached. Mr Weinstein has been accused of sexual offences by dozens of women. He denies most of the charges.
In sport, Everton have sacked Ronald Koeman after Sunday's 5-2 home defeat to Arsenal, and Dylan Hartley, Nathan Hughes and Joe Marler have all been cited after the weekend's Champions Cup games. Coming up next on 5 Live, Flintoff Savage and the Ping Pong Guy.
5 Live Breakfast.
What a roll call. Michelle Dignan, Sean Farrington, Simon King, George Riley, Rachel Burton.
Great memory, Nicky, there.
It's written down. They aren't merry across the Mersey, are they? No? They like that.
Bit early on a Monday.
It's quite good, actually.
Is it?
I do like it.
Okay.
Nicky just said, don't leave the studio, I've got a really good thing to say. And that was it.
It was a good quality sports headline.
Morning, George.
Good morning, Rachel. Good morning, all.
Good morning, welcome.
Let's bring you up to date with the news headlines then.
Wake up to all the latest news, sport, travel and weather.
5 Live Breakfast. Back tomorrow from 6.
That's the magic number. Yes, it is. It's the magic number.
What does it all mean?
Hello and welcome to the multi-award-winning podcast, Flintoff Savage and the Ping Pong Guy, who is, of course, our very good friend, Matthew Syed. I can't carry on this anymore. I know I should be presenting this because I did win Best New Presenter of a show that I don't even present.
I'll tell you, talk about rubbing it in. I was already upset that I didn't get even nominated for that award, despite being the presenter. You go and win it, and then you hog the opening line.
So the big question is, why are you here?
What do I contribute to this thing?
Well, Matthew, show us what you've got. You pick it up now. I've tried. Go on, tell us what we're doing this week.
This week, we're all going to talk about getting criticised in sport, the greatest team of all time in any sport. And remember, you can use the hashtag FredSavSide, get in touch through the week and suggest future topics. Topic number 1. Jose Mourinho criticised his team very strongly after their first league defeat of the season away to Huddersfield. He said, when you lose a match because of attitude, that's really bad. I don't even remember a friendly match when the attitude was so poor. We could have had a second goal, got a draw, but it would have been undeserved. If I was a United supporter, I'd be really disappointed because you can accept losing because the opponent had more quality, but not because the opponent had more attitude. In other words, Mourinho, he hammered his players. So the question we're going to ask now is, what is the worst criticism we have received as athletes, as sports people? How did we react? Is criticism always bad? Can it actually be a good thing? Fred.
I'm confused by this. Mourinho, what he said, are people saying he's out of order?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, like it's too tough on his players.
Really? I think...
Well, some people are saying that, right, Rob?
I think so, yeah.
If he thinks that, I think he's bob on.
Mm.
You know, because for me, one thing, and even when it goes down to the kids, all the way up to professional. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Mm-hmm. Results and failures I can accept. Yep. What I cannot accept is people who don't try, who don't put 100% in, including myself. Mm-hmm. If I played a game and I'd lost and I'd done everything I possibly could to perform on that day and it didn't work out, I can walk home happy. Them days when you know you could have done a little bit more, you could have put a bit more work in before the game in practice, you could have done something a bit more during the game, and you look at yourself in a mirror and you're disappointed. And I think Mourinho, if he thinks that, he's the manager of Man United. He's accountable to his bosses. He's accountable to the fans, as are the players. Why should he not say that? If he feels they've let the fans down, good on you, Jose.
A lot of people say, you know, sports people, young people, they don't really want to be criticised. It can bring them down. It might upset them. I mean, I think there is a big argument now about what is and what is not acceptable in terms of critiquing people in sport and in people's professional lives and so on. What you're saying is negative criticism can galvanise. It can help you see where you're going wrong. I mean, Rob, what's the most powerful bit of criticism you've had?
Well, first and foremost, that game at the weekend, Huddersfield against United, the attitude of players, surely, you know, that comes from within. I watched Huddersfield in the first 5 or 10 minutes. There were 2 players who got yellow carded. It was, wet conditions. They were smashing into tackles. And as somebody who played for the lesser teams in the Premier League against the big stars, you have to have the right attitude if you're going to win those games.
Yep.
If they have the same attitude as you, the opposition, then they're usually they're at the top of the league because of A, they have the right attitude, and B, they're better players. Mm-hmm. So if they're slightly down, then you think you've got half a chance here. But I'm not having people saying it's the manager's fault, because surely you have to motivate yourself and an attitude yourself. Yeah. This is what I don't get. If somebody kicked me, the next thing I'd be doing is going smashing into them back and thinking, right, I'm a better player than you. Yeah. I'd try to prove to people, even though I wasn't Steven Gerrard, Paul Scholes, the better players, that was my fire, my better to say, do you know what, I'm going to show up, I'm as good as you. Because if I can match you physically and for desire and for, all the horrible little piece of work, if I can match you in that, that's the least I can do. Yep. You might be able to do a trick, you might be quicker than me. Mm-hmm. I can't deal with that. I can't deal with that. That's life. But if I can match you in everything that I've got my attributes, and then I lose, I can't do no more.
So you're with Mourinho then? They 100%. They deserved it.
100%.
Why shouldn't he be able to just say it? Why can he not criticise these players?
Mm-hmm. Of course he can. I watched that first half, and Huddersfield was quicker, they were stronger, they were flying in the tackles, and it was the underdogs rose to the occasion. Yep. They were brilliant. Second half, when United, needed... the funny thing was, in an attitude, Mourinho's when a Mourinho side's been 2 goals down in the Premier League, they've never won. Yeah. So that is a question for another day.
That's interesting.
Why isn't a fantastic team when they're 2-0 down never come back and won a game?
Yeah.
But in terms of, I used to get hammered, and that inspired me. I'm with you. That my problem was, as a player, that I would ring too many people.
To get their feedback.
Yeah, I'd ring too many people. So, for instance, I'd ring never ring the manager. I'd ring the coach. I'd ring the fitness guy. I'd ring the newspaper reporter who was at the game. It's, how did I play? Because did I play well? I knew myself I had a good game, but the constructive criticism, what I can't accept is when people just hammer you for no reason. It's personal. That's ridiculous. And I have so many. That's just nonsense. That's just lazy.
Yeah, but you get so much that you do not deserve. Yeah. I'm laughing as I say it.
I mean, some he does, but yeah.
Some I do. Some I do.
We all do, but some of it is just pathetic.
Yeah, pathetic.
It really is.
So, the criticism of Martin O'Neill when he said about I had no ability, which was tongue-in-cheek on the telly, and then I wanted to prove him wrong. Other people, I remember at half time.
But do you know what, Martin O'Neill, with you there?
Yeah.
Is that just clever management?
Clever.
Clever
He knew.
management. He knew what you was
He
about.
knew exactly that would fire me up and say, I'm going to prove him wrong. And I'd get aggressive with myself and, I can't wait for training. I'm going to go and smash into people. Yeah. I know I use the word smash into people. I don't mean like just go and kick people all over the place. I mean, in their faces and, you know, and I do that in training. I want to be the best trainer. And I wasn't great, but if somebody told me constructively, you're not good at this, I'd try and get better.
Yeah.
And why can't these players of this day and age not accept it?
I think looking back at my career, I was at my worst when I was most successful. When I got to the top, I was at my worst because I was a bit bored. And then I'd jump off a cliff almost and I'd get back. My career...
The desire would come back.
It hit rock bottom so many times through my career. And then once I got my head around it, that's actually when I'm at my most dangerous. When everyone's writing me off, when everyone's saying how bad I am, this is when I come into my own. Yeah. I used to love that piecing back together. I used to love the rise to the top.
Yes.
And I'm not saying I needed any more motivation because I love what I was doing, but I would lie. I'd be lying in saying that when people told me how bad I was, when people wrote me off saying I can't do this, can't do that, even now in some of the things the positions I put myself in, this musical, for instance, this is when I'm at my most dangerous, is when people are telling me you cannot do something. It's hang on a minute. Of course I can.
Yeah.
Picking up on what Fred said about it being honest and frank, if you get that on Twitter or anywhere else, you think, yeah, I know what you're saying, that wasn't as good as column as it might have been, that podcast could have been a bit better or whatever. It's helpful. The only time I find it difficult is when it's kind of very personal. It's nothing about how you could improve. It's just telling you how horrible you are as a person. But that doesn't give you anything to work with. There's no raw material there.
But then I think about that and I think, you know what? He's probably some bloke sat at home with a load of cats. Right, and he's eating a Karamak and a pot noodle. And
Karamak,
they were good. They were good.
And he's swigging on a bottle of Tizer. And he thinks, you know what? I'm just going to have a go at someone here. Yeah. And I feel more for that person doing that.
That's a good attitude. In fact, but talking of unfair criticism, when it's not been legitimate, hasn't been honest, or it hasn't been something that you felt was just. Have you had anything like that, Fred?
Unfair criticism. Loads. You know, I'm not going to lie. A lot of the criticisms I got as a player were deserved. And some of the things I did off the field, probably were deserved as well. And some of them got me a few jobs, so I'm not going to change them. But there's been a couple of times. One which stands out when you mentioned that was, I remember I got in the England side and I was becoming quite an established player. And we played, I think it might have been, 2001 maybe, 2002. I don't know the dates. We're playing against India in a test series, one-day series, and playing a game for Lancashire. I felt my groins had been building up, and this was in May. And I came off, and the physio, Dave Roberts, one of my great friends, he said, I think you've got double hernias. This was May, beginning of May. I said, all right. He said, what does that mean? He said, well, you get away playing for a while, but it's going to catch up on you.
Yeah.
So I went to England, and then said to him, look, I've got this problem with my groins. He thinks it's double hernia. He said, nah, it'd be fine. So carried on playing. And then about July, then they diagnosed it as double hernias.
Right.
So I'm struggling. I'm on injections. I'm on painkillers. I'm getting through. And I played through till September. The last test match.
You played through with a double hernia?
From May to September.
Wow.
So the last test of the series was against India at Edinburgh. We needed to win. I got 2 ducks and I didn't get any wickets. I turned up to the test match 3 days before. I didn't even take any kit. I just got in car just to turn up and say I'm going home. So I turned up, no kit. I borrowed Army's kit to do warm-ups and everything. And then they come over and says, are you going to play this? I said, well, I can't move. And they said, no, we'll sort that out. We'll look after you. We'll jab you up and that. So I said, fine. So all that's gone on. We didn't win and moving on. We was going to Australia that winter in November.
Yeah.
So I've got to now I've had my operation. They want me fit to go to Australia in November. I turn up. The first session we have, they're all gone on warm-ups. And I've started walking around the ground because I've been told I can't run. They know I can't run. I get pulled in Duncan Fletcher's office. He says, what are you doing? I said, I've had hernias. I can't run. He says, yes, but when they said you can't run, I didn't know they couldn't run. I said, well, running's that thing where when you move quicker, 2 feet are off the ground at the same time. I can't do it. So they kept me on tour. We played first test Brisbane. Nasser Hussain wins the toss at Brisbane and bowls. So I get brought. I can field slip. I can't run, but I can field slip. So Simon Jones busts his knee. I go on a field slip. We don't have slips for very long because we're getting smashed. I then get put on the boundary. Matthew Hayden hits one up in the air. If I'm fit, I get this ball. But I'm like trotting after this ball. Nasser Hussain throws his cap, sends me off, so I get sent off the ground.
Really?
Yeah. They keep me on tour for ages, and we're getting beat every week. We're just getting hammered by every team we play against, and I'm just a tourist here. I'm just going round. So I don't know what happened. Duncan pulls me in the office, decides to let me know what he thinks of me, which I knew that anyway.
And what was he saying?
Well, he criticises me for not being fit, not being this, that and the other. And I was resorted to tears, actually. It was before a team meeting.
Really?
Because you can have a go at me for a lot of things. Have a go at me for drinking, have a go at me for going out, have a go at me for doing all this, but do not have a go at my intentions and attitude and trying.
And you're playing through a double hernia all the way
summer,
through that period?
And I couldn't get fit. So he then decides he's going to send me home, which is fine. I wanted to go home anyway. So we have a team meeting straight after a bollocking. I'm sat in his team meeting like Stevie Wonder. I've got dark glasses on because my eyes are all bloodshot and I've been crying.
Really?
And I got sent home. Rooster, Dave Roberts, I mentioned, amazing man. He got me fit, mentally, physically and everything, went back and then played the one days at the end of the series. But when you talk and then the World Cup after, which I did all right in, but then talking about, you know what, getting criticised for things, and that really burnt me ass out.
Wow.
How did you repair the relationship with Duncan?
It was never repaired. It was never.
That was it.
It was the relationship with me and Duncan was. It wasn't always bad, and to say he didn't help me through my career would be a lie, because I think my best years for England was with him. I wouldn't say because of him, but maybe despite him. But he did help me at certain times, and when I was playing well, he'd talk to me. And we was all right. When I wasn't playing particularly well, it was almost as if I'm the reason why the team were getting beat.
What, he gave you the silent treatment?
Oh, yeah, not just me.
Yeah.
And I don't want to talk ill of him, but we had a shocking relationship. Well, that's one thing that really stands out with Burn.
You know, so going back to Fred about criticism,
just on Duncan, I don't want to make this, because I mentioned him quite a bit. I don't want to make this about him and Duncan, because I've got no problem with him.
Yeah.
And like I said, I had my best years playing under him, despite this fractious relationship. And I reckon, you know what, I'd like to see him now.
And talk about it. Be interesting to hear his point of view, because I wonder whether...
Can we not get him on as a guest?
You won't get a word out.
But maybe the medical staff didn't give him enough information about how much you were struggling.
But you can't run. Means you can't run.
Yeah, but it just doesn't make any sense.
I was doing my rehab in gym with Darren Goff. Goff was taking me rehab for me. It was weird.
You know, on that, so about criticism, and I'm with Fred that I could take all the criticism in the world if it was fair. And it's when I broke my neck.
Your neck?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's when I broke my neck playing for Birmingham. And I played with that for 6-7 weeks.
Broken neck?
Look at the scar there.
Yeah, bloody hell.
Oh, gosh. What? So you did?
Yeah, look there, the scar. So basically, it's all criticism. I wasn't right, I was playing with it.
Yeah. Do you know, on that tour of Australia, right, they tried everything to get me fit and it wouldn't work. They injected everything in me.
Did you resent this, by the way, that you were being put through so much rehabilitation and quite intrusive?
But do you know the worst thing about it is that if I tell you I'm hurting,
you're hurting.
I'm really hurting.
Right. Yeah.
They tried to get me fit and they tried everything, and then I was in Tasmania, and then they come up with this new thing and they say it's a pubis symphysis.
Oh, that's...
It's not when plants go towards the light.
It's in between, isn't it?
Yeah, it's above your willy, right? Where you...
It's medical truth.
There's like the bone and there's a hole.
Yeah.
On your pelvis. And what they said was, we can inject through there and inject some painkiller into your pubis symphysis to see if it works. So I'm thinking, well, you've tried everything else. Go on then. So I've been told this is going to work. I go in this room in Tasmania in hospital, and I'm led on this bed, and I've got this towel over me. In comes this little Chinese doctor and 2 nurses, and he says, right, he gets this needle out, and it's a big needle, and I'm thinking, where's he going to put that? So he moves the towel, Right, so I'm there, and I've got meat and 2 veg out on this table. There's 2 nurses. Don't get me wrong, I'm slightly nervous.
Yeah.
So I
was it cold as well?
Oh, it was. I said to the nurses, I said it's usually bigger than this, but I'm really nervous. Right? It was like an innie. It was like going in. It was like a shiitake mushroom. Right? So he's then started putting this needle in, and I'm thinking he's going to stop. And at this point, my balls have recoiled as well. It's like there's almost nothing there. I'm like a Ken doll. Right? And he's put this thing, he's injected me. And I let out the biggest scream of my life. And he said, has the anaesthetic worked yet? I'm thinking, I don't think so, mate, I don't think so. Goes, and that's what they tried, and that didn't work. They tried everything.
And was the injection, like, unbelievably painful? I mean, that sounds horrible, such a sensitive...
Horrific. Speak to anybody who's had that, it's horrific.
But isn't it interesting? Looking back, you think, why would you want to go through it? But I played Australian Open 1998. Don't hammer me for table tennis story. So I got through the first round. Yeah, exactly. She's listening.
Sorry, Dillis.
Yeah. And I was playing Peter Carlson, Swedish guy, top 10 of the world, but I knew I had a chance to beat him, and I had a massive, unbelievable pain in my foot. And the physio tried everything. It was at the Melbourne Sports and Aquatic Centre, beautiful venue. And they said, there is one possible way you might be able to play. We could give you a local anaesthetic straight through the base of your foot, the sole of your foot, which is a really sensitive part of the body. And I was on in like an hour and a half, and I said, won't it numb the whole of my leg? How will I be able to move? They said, we're going to make it very local to that bit of the foot. Got to tell you, lying on that couch and then a doctor coming out with this long needle, I just closed my eyes and I thought, you go through a lot, don't you, to try and reach the top in sport. You do have tough times. And I thought, you know what, it's going to be 5 seconds of excruciating pain, but it might give me a chance to win. I played. First game, I couldn't feel my foot. I lost.
I couldn't feel my feet more Saturdays.
Go with the injecting yours.
But then I went 2 down, came back and won 3-2. But it's fascinating, this, just going through all of this.
I know we got off subject a little bit, but it's like when I was playing for Birmingham at Charlton, and I've got up for a header, and I've landed on my arms. Like, you know, when you stop yourself.
Yeah.
And there was this big shudder through my body, right? And I've gone off afterwards. I've played the last half an hour, and I've said to the physio, I've got pins and needles in my arms. I said, you know, like you keep scrunching your hands together. Anyway, I lay on the bed. The doctor come in, and he said, you've jarred your nerve. Mm-hmm. So I thought, right. Anyway, when I look back now, it's so frightening, and I can't believe, you know, I've not spoken about this, have I, before?
No.
Anyway, it was in my book. Mm-hmm. So... Anyway, I've said...
So no one's seen it.
You're horrible, see. Val will be on to you. Val listen to this, that's my brother. Val's going to send me a text. So, anyway, the Monday, I've gone into the training ground and said, these pins and needles, I was struggling to put my hands in cold water. And they said, you've jarred a nerve. At this minute, I was lying back on the physio table, and the physio would get my head in his hands, and he'd like...
Oh, wow, thanks, you said hands.
Right? And he'd...
Everyone just went...
And he'd click it. And he would like, you're like a chiropractor, and it would click. So I'd go out to training, but this pins and needles never went away, and I would get... But my neck, no pain in my neck, it was just pins and needles down both arms. Anyway... This is true. So 6 weeks, end of the season, I had this pins and needles, but I thought it's a jarred nerve. That's what I was told. Therefore, I was going to be fine. The summer, 6 weeks off. Nerves take ages to repair. Yeah. I thought, right. So we had a testimonial game at Cardiff. We were playing against Cardiff, testimonial for some guy. After that, we were off for 6 weeks.
Yep.
In the warm-up, you imagine this, and it's horrible. In the warm-up, and it's not an exaggeration, I was just getting ready to play. And I think it was Damien Johnson just come behind me and like jokingly nudged me in the back.
Yeah.
I fell to the ground and I couldn't feel my body for 20 seconds.
No.
On my kid's life. I could not feel my body for 20 seconds.
Kind of paralysis.
I couldn't move. I could not move.
Was you trying to move?
Trying to move. I couldn't move. So I've got up and honestly... what's that? You never seen that advert, Mr. Soft? That Mr. Soft, and he was
it's for mince, isn't it?
Mince, yeah. It was like I was like my legs were wobbling, and I've gone into the changing room, and I said to the physio, not being funny, not going to believe this. Remember, I was a bit of a hypochondriac. I said, I couldn't move for 20 seconds. He was like, yeah, all right, go and play the first half.
No.
Played the first half, and then this pain now in my arms.
Was it the best game you've ever had? Robbie's moving more.
Maybe not.
Oh,
I'm in a bad mood today, yeah. Anyway. You know Robbie, yeah? Friend is.
I'm just sticking up for Matthew.
So anyway, I'm on the bus going back. I said, listen, I'm going away tomorrow for 6 weeks. I need to go to the hospital. Mm-hmm. I can't put up with this pain anymore. It's horrific pain in my arms. So I go in the scanner. So they put me into the Birmingham hospital. I'm in a scanner.
What, like MRI?
MRI scanner. And you can when you've got these headphones on in a scanner and it's going...
Them really tight tubes.
Yeah, them tight tubes.
It's claustrophobic, isn't it?
Yeah. Tape your nose down.
You're enjoying this, aren't you?
Matthew said to me before, "I give Robbie some. I'll get it next week."
Why isn't he getting it?
No, it's fair. I mean, did they?
Yeah, so anyway, you know what? So you can see the glass.
Yeah.
Where the people are doing the scan, and I knew something was wrong. Anyway, as the bed comes out of the MRI scanner, it was like
because they were sort of discussing it.
I could see. Yeah. It was like, right, you've got to stay there. So basically, I was then told that I had a C5, I think it is. It was the disc was 70% in my spinal cord.
So how long had that been going on for?
6 weeks. So the disc.
If they hadn't done it, what would have happened?
So the doctor said to me, the doctor who I believe saved my career, I think his name was Mr. Jakowski, I think.
Jakowski?
Jakowski.
I know him.
Yeah, he's a surgeon.
Yeah, because he said to me...
Yeah, surgeon.
He said to me years ago, because I was having back problems, and he scanned me, and he said, your tailbone hasn't fused.
Right.
I says, has it not? Right. He said, do you wet the bed? Seriously? I said, well, I did wet the bed till I was about 13 or 14. And then if I have too much to drink now, I'll wet the bed. And he said, that's because your tailbone hasn't fused. I said, well, that's great, but how's that going to help me bowl?
No way,
and he wanted to...
Jackabout? Yeah. So he said that it was 60...
I don't wet the bed now, we'll just get out.
Yeah.
My disc was 60 to 70% of my spinal cord. So it could have
severed your spinal cord.
So he said, one more blow, and that could have been it.
It's just unbelievable.
So I had the operation, so they kept me in, I was in intensive care. They went through my neck there, took the bone from my hip, fused it in C5. So now, look, my movement of my neck's really, really... poor. So I know we're gonna have something. But this honestly, is what you put yourself through, Matthew, to play to be the best you can. And
so you broke your neck.
Well, yeah.
You've not broke it, but you.
So it's not broke. But
was there any fear that if you got a knock, you won't be able to walk?
He said to me, if you before it was done, if I'd have gone away and then come back and not had the operation and I got whacked, that'd have been it. That'd have been it.
But I tell you,
the operation, was there any fear if they got it wrong?
No, fine. Fine.
No, but because when they're working around there, they say if they nick something.
Yeah, they tell you that they go in the neck, and so it's quite a big scare.
Yeah.
But this is the thing: athletes go through, and people don't. You might be off one day, but these are the things that people don't realise. That you might be playing with this thing, you might be not right for so many different reasons.
Yeah. Just to get back on track about unfair criticism, the one thing that really bothered me so much was Steve Armisen. You know, Steve Armisen, all the way through his career, when we talk about mental health and depression and struggling with things, and I saw him go through it every day. And I saw him get a kicking in the press. I saw teammates having a go at him.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing would not happen now. But that really hurt and upset me. And I suppose in some ways, it didn't allow me to talk about how I was feeling. Yeah. And possibly people like Marcus Trescothick as well, who then just had a complete break. He just happened so fast and disappeared out of the way. But bear in mind, Steve Armisen had been going through that for probably 8 years beforehand. And nobody took the time, or they just hammered him. So there's two sides of criticism for me, where Mourinho, I think he's well within the rights.
Yeah.
But in other instances, like we've just spoken about,
can be deeply unfair.
Yeah.
Fascinating topic, that. Thank you for listening. You can download the podcast for extended versions of all the topics we covered on this week's show at the 5 Live website in all the usual podcast places. Also, every show we've ever done to date, all the award-winning shows available to download there. Please use the hashtag FredSavSide to get in touch through the week. If you can leave a review on iTunes and give us a rating, we'd really appreciate it. We'll be back next week at the same time. For now, from all of us, goodbye.
And from me to all of you, congratulations on the awards that you guys won last week for that podcast at the Arias. Richly deserved. This evening with us, there are calls for Labour to hold an inquiry into Sheffield Hallam MP Jared O'Mara for derogatory online posts he made before he was elected to Parliament. Tonight he's resigned his position on an influential MP's Equality Committee. We'll hear demands for Labour to withdraw the whip from him.
First for news and more live Premier League football than anyone else. This is BBC 5 Live.
Good evening, 10:30 on Monday night. Phil Williams here with you on 5 Live and the late news hour.
The main news on 5 Live. Theresa May says there's been good progress in Brexit talks with the EU.
And in sport, Cristiano Ronaldo wins FIFA's Best Men's Player Award.
At 11:15 tonight, Radio 1's Greg James will give us the inside track on his brand new live primetime music series, Sounds Like Friday Night, which debuts this Friday at 7:30 with Jason Derulo, the big guest. And you'll find out who else they've got lined up and what else they've got lined up from Greg at 11:15.
This is BBC 5 Live.
Start you off with the latest BBC News first on 5 Live. Sophie Hughes.
The Prime Minister says the government is in touching distance of a deal with the EU on citizens' rights. Theresa May has been updating the Commons following more talks last week. A Labour MP has resigned from the Women and Equalities Committee after it emerged he made a series of sexist and homophobic comments online before being elected. Jared O'Mara, who became the Sheffield Hallam MP in June, says he's deeply ashamed. A 23-year-old woman has been remanded in custody after appearing before magistrates charged with the murder of an 18-month-old boy. Elliot Proctor fell from the 6th floor of a block of flats in Bradford on Saturday. Gemma Proctor is due in Crown Court on Wednesday. A British man who was convicted of touching another man's hip in a Dubai bar has had the charges against him dropped. Jamie Harron, who's 27 and from Stirling, had been sentenced to 3 months for public indecency. Here's the sport with James Burford.
Thank you. Cristiano Ronaldo has been named the world's best men's player at the 2017 Best FIFA Football Awards in London. The 32-year-old beat Lionel Messi and Neymar to the honour. Lieke Martins of Barcelona and the Netherlands won the Best Women's Player Award, while Real Madrid's Zinedine Zidane coach won, of course, the Men's Coach Award. Everton are on the lookout for a new manager following the club's sacking of Ronald Koeman. The Merseysiders are currently in the relegation zone with just 2 wins from their 9 Premier League matches so far. BBC Sport understands Scotland flanker John Hardy's suspension from his teams Edinburgh and Scotland is because of alleged cocaine use. And also in rugby union, Dylan Hartley, Nathan Hughes and Joe Marler, the England players, have all been cited after the weekend's Champions Cup games. Head coach for England, Eddie Jones, names his squad for the autumn internationals on Thursday, so they could all miss out.
This is BBC 5 Live on digital, online, smartphone and tablet.
And the weather, it will be a dry evening for most places, but rain in the southwest will spread northeastwards, becoming heavy in Wales, Northern Ireland, Western Scotland and Southern England, where there'll also be extensive low cloud and hill fog.
Sophie Hughes, everybody, making her debut reading the... How was it for you?
I think it was all right. It was good. I enjoyed
and breathe.
it. Yeah, breathe. No.
Yeah, relax. Yeah. Very nice to have you on the programme.
Thank you.
And Sophie's wresting with a brand new computer system as well to try and read it. So
everything all at once.
All at once. Why not? Exactly. If you're going to go in, go both feet.
Exactly.
That's what I say.
Yeah.
So based on Sophie's debut tonight, what have you done for the first time today? Or maybe over the weekend? Something you've never tried. What have you done for the first time? 85058 at BBC 5 Live.
F1, the United States Grand Prix.
Lewis Hamilton, out of the final corner, wins the United States Grand Prix. He's so close now to a 4th World Championship title. Vettel finishes in 2nd, but surely in 1 week's time, Lewis Hamilton will wrap up the Formula 1 World Championship.
You guys, everyone in the garage, in the back of the factory, you guys have worked so hard this year. Truly deserve it. I'm so proud to be a part of it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Lewis.
Mercedes are constructors champions, but Lewis Hamilton will have to wait for Mexico. Download the Checkered Flag podcast right now. F1 on 5 Live.
The Late News Hour
with Phil Williams on 5 Live.
10:34 Monday night. Welcome to the programme. We start with the Labour MP who won Nick Clegg's seat at the last election, who's resigned from the Women and Equality Select Committee after a series of offensive online comments were discovered. This is Jared O'Mara, who posted a range of comments several years ago, it has to be said. Some about homosexuality and some criticising fat women, asking why fatties are deified. This afternoon he issued this apology, read here by one of our producers.
I am deeply ashamed of the comments I made online which have emerged today. I was wrong to make them. I understand why they are offensive and sincerely apologise for my use of such unacceptable language. I made the comments as a young man at a particularly difficult time in my life, but that is no excuse. Misogyny